Okay, so hello everyone. I hope you're having a good day and that you enjoyed the video that I uploaded yesterday. Right, today I want to talk to you because I have to say I'm getting increasingly concerned at the situation at my beloved Arsenal. As you all know, I'm a big Arsenal fan, and I'm really concerned that if something doesn't change very soon, the club are going to be relegated. And if they are relegated, I'm telling you now, it ain't going to stop just for them going into the Championship. I can see them falling through the league. Anyway, so thanks for coming and watch this video, and I'm going to tell you about what I think is wrong with the club and hopefully what can be done to sort it out. With regards to what's going on at Arsenal, I think there's lots and lots of problems at the club that need to be addressed. Most of the biggest problem we need to do is we need to stop sliding down the table. We need to start winning football matches, and so we can start climbing up the table. Because the way it is now, we are 3 points ahead of Brighton. They have a game in hand, I believe. If they win that game in hand, they're going to go above us. And then there's another club below us who currently in the bottom three, which is Burnley. They are 4 points behind, but they have 2 games in hand. So feasibly, by New Year, Arsenal could be in the relegation zone, which is just unbelievable. Arsenal have never, ever been relegated, ever. So if we do get relegated, that would be another record for this clown of a manager, Mikel Arteta, and he is a clown. It's not his fault. He should never, ever have been given this job in the first place, in my opinion. He's not qualified. He's got no experience. Yes, people can say he sat next to Pep. So what? When I was going for my physio treatment, I was observing what they were doing and what they were up to and stuff like that. Does that mean that I'm suddenly going to be a good physio? No, it doesn't. So I'm sorry. He should have gone off, learned his trade, and then come back to Arsenal when he knew what he was doing. The man clearly is out of his depth, and he needs help. Either get someone in as an experienced manager who can be like a mentor to him, or sack him, which would be my preferred option, and get someone in, a manager who has vast experience and knows how to organise the team and stop this slide down the table. Now, I know that people are going to raise their eyebrows about this because I've been I haven't been very respectful to him in the past. But personally, with the situation the club is in at the moment, I would have liked them to appoint Big Sam. But that now has gone. That ship has sailed. He's at West Brom. There's no way that they can appoint him. So, moving on, the problems are with the club. There's lots of, not just with Mikel Arteta's management. It's also about the ownership and the board and the hierarchy of the club, what people are doing at the club. There's lots of things, and I'm going to touch on all of it. So, the first one I'm going to talk about is about the ownership. Okay, so the problems at Arsenal, like I say, there's lots of different things that I think are wrong with the club. Number one, the first thing I want to talk about, like I said, is with the ownership of Arsenal. Now, the big problem is that the owner doesn't really have any understanding or knowledge about football. Now, lots of people point the finger at him and said that he doesn't invest in the club and he doesn't financially back the club. Sorry, but that's crap. He does, and Arsenal have had the second biggest expenditure in world football in recent years. The only club that has spent more is Manchester United. So the idea that he doesn't invest is just absolute nonsense. So unfortunately, you can't pin that one on him. That doesn't mean to say that I don't want him gone, because I do. Because I don't think he cares. He doesn't follow the matches. He's not interested. He even once, I believe, came out and said, well, I didn't buy into Arsenal to win trophies. So that tells you all you need to know. Now, the problem is, because, excuse me. Yeah, sorry about that. Because he doesn't understand football, everyone below him in the structure at Arsenal knows that he doesn't have an idea about football, and they use that to their advantage. And so there is no accountability. So, or if there is, they can pull the wool over his eyes and just give him a lot of flannel and more or less do what they want and get away with it. For example, that character, Raul Spinelli, apparently it's alleged, stress alleged, that he had his hands in the tills, and that was why he ended up getting the sack. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. And this is why I'm saying there's no accountability. People can run around doing what they want, and they're not held to account. There's also this thing, which I have to say, I'm sick and tired of seeing this, is that crest that you're looking at now. That is the old traditional crest of Arsenal that I grew up knowing and loving. And now that when they've disbanded with that crest and introduced a new one. Why? I don't know. And you're going to see, I'm going to put it up for you in a minute, right? And you're going to see they haven't even got the cannon point in the right way. So let's move on and we'll look at that. So there you go, there it is. And you'll notice through the middle of it, I've written PROCESS PLC. That's because I believe the club is no longer a football club. It's a PR enterprise. All it's interested in doing is pushing out PR messages and making a profit. It's not interested in what goes on the pitch. Hence why they're sliding down the table. And this thing that they're throwing out saying, trust the process. What is that all about? What is this process that they keep asking us to trust? Now, I don't know about you lot, but if you want me to trust something, I need to know what it is I'm being asked to trust. And I've tried asking numerous people what this process is that they want me to trust, and no one seems to be able to tell me. So let's move on. Yeah, so as you can see, it's really, really annoying me. Now the thing is, we've had a lockdown in this country for quite a while now, and for a good number of months during that lockdown, there was no football allowed to be played. Now you've got a number of people in positions of power at Arsenal. I've got absolutely no experience in management, no idea about football, no understanding about the culture of the club, anything. So why the hell weren't they put on training during this period? If they want to take these people on with no experience, at least give them some damn training so they know what to do. I mean, to me, it's just absolute madness. Anyway, so let's move on. And when the club was moved from Highbury to Emirates, we were told that we were moving to the Emirates so that we could compete with Europe's elite. We're no closer to competing with Europe's elite than when we were at Highbury. In fact, we're way behind. Because at least when we were at Highbury, we were regularly competing in the Champions League. We were regularly coming up against top clubs in Europe and holding our own, and even got to a Champions League final. I'm sorry, that was the biggest bunch of lies that the club has ever peddled, going to the Emirates to compete with Europe's elite. My fucking arse. I'm sorry, but that is absolute rubbish. Okay, so this is the new Arsenal crest, except for the words PRO6 written in the middle of it, which the new ownership introduced. And as you can see, like I said, the cannon's not even facing the right way. Honestly, it's plastic rubbish. Honestly, I hate that badge with a passion. It's nothing to do with the club that I grew up and loved. Not at all. No, sorry, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. And that's one of the reasons why I never hardly buy anything from the club shop. I'm just not doing it. I'm not investing in that club at all. Now, Paul Merson was interviewed about 3 years ago on Arsenal Fan TV, and Robbie saw him doing an after-dinner speech in Maidstone. And interestingly for me, he made it. There's one comment, a little segment of the interview was quite telling. I mean, the whole thing is telling. It when I looked at it from 3 years ago, where you could like fast forward till now, and the same issues are affecting most of the issues that are affecting this club are the same. They just haven't been addressed. But the thing I wanted to show you, I've put the link for that video in the description for this, so you can go and watch it. But one thing that was quite telling was when Paul Merson was talking about the team that were playing when they left Highbury. They had Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, Fredrik Ljungberg. You had Robert Pires. You had Sol Campbell and Ashley Cole. There were world-class players in Lauren. There were world-class players in every single position, from goalkeeper to striker, every single position, right? Now, the only world-class player, as far as I'm concerned, they've got in that team is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and he's coming towards the end of his career. So when they were playing at Highbury, they had their average gate every week was 38,000 because that was capacity. They're now in a stadium of 60,000. How come they've only got one world-class player? Why can't they afford to buy any other players? Where's the money gone? They've got an extra £22,000, extra 22,000 people every week, and the ticket prices have gone through the roof. So where's the money? Something is seriously wrong at this club, and that's why I want to investigate this. Anyway, so this is a Premiership table as it is today, and you can see Arsenal laying in 15th position, and you'll notice that they're on 14 points. Brighton are behind them, 3 points behind. They have a game in hand. If they win that game in hand, they go above them. Fulham are only 4 points behind, and Arsenal are due to play them the week after. Not this game coming, but the game after that. So sorry, not Fulham. Brighton are playing Arsenal, so they could move 3 points clear of Arsenal and push Arsenal closer to Fulham. Burnley, you'll notice, have got 2 games in hand on Arsenal, and are 4 points behind. Should they win those 2 games in hand, it's quite feasible that Arsenal could be in the bottom 3 by the new year. West Brom are now got Sam Allardyce at the helm, and he's never ever been relegated. So that it's cutting down our options, and that's why I think unless this club are careful, they will be relegated. Now, the other thing about Stan Kroenke is that he's got a very, very bad reputation amongst the supporters of the teams that he that he owns. Now, in America, he has got lots of sports franchises, and I'm just going to go through them, but you will not find one supporter from any of these teams who's got anything good to say about him. So there's the Denver Nuggets, the Colorado Avalanche, the Colorado Crush, the Colorado Mammoth, the Colorado Rapids, the LA Rams, who were previously the St. Louis Rams, and Los Angeles Gladiators and Gorillas. Now, like I say, you won't find any fan of any of these teams who has a good word to say about Stan Kroenke. The thing that I find annoying about him is that he never ever comes out and says anything. He's known as Silent Stan, and that's for a reason. So, it's just, I just don't think he cares. I don't think he knows from one day to the other whether the club's playing or not. He never comes to the matches. I just don't think it's acceptable. Anyway, so enough about the ownership because it's starting to make my blood pressure go up. Let's move on to the board. Now, the board, Arsenal, they're completely out of touch. They're not putting any pressure on Stan Kroenke, or there's none going downwards, or they're not supporting the staff or management to work it efficiently or in a proper way. The age and the profile of the board is a joke, and the demographic is a joke of the people that make up the board. I mean, most of them are like over in their 80s. They forced Lucian Smirnov, who's a Russian oligarch. He's even richer than that one at Chelsea. So he wanted to invest heavily in the club. He wanted to buy in the club. He offered to pay off the stadium debt, and they refused to let him. They wouldn't let him help make decisions on the board. He owned 33% of the club, but he was not allowed to have any input into the running of the club. Now, in the end, when he failed to buy out Stan Kroenke because he wanted to, and he tried to, and he is a football man. He does know his football, and he does love Arsenal, as far as I'm aware. He ended up moving on and is now at Everton. And under his stewardship, look where Everton are. They're second in the table. They've got a proper manager. What the hell is going on? This club it seems to me it doesn't want to go forward. It wants to go backwards. The other problem with the board, there's no fan representation on it. Now, they'd probably be very reluctant to let that happen, because if they did, then they would be held to account, and they would be forced to take action when things were going wrong. They just seem quite happy and content to sit on their fat asses and do nothing. Now, I'd like to see more fan representation on that board. Someone who's well known in the Arsenal fan group who I think would be good to go on there would be someone like Chris Hudson or Claude, someone who's passionate about Arsenal Football Club and has lots of experience of watching football and is knowledgeable, because I'm sorry, this lot, they're just not up to it, and they need some pressure being put on them from outside. And their attitude to the fans is absolutely appalling. There was an infamous AGM meeting recently when questions and comments from the supporters who attended were treated with complete disdain and disrespect. and they refused to answer questions about certain topics. The questions had to be vetted before they were asked. It was a joke, absolute whitewash. And then when someone did like shout out a question, they got shuffle along, you're annoying noise. You know, and I'm sorry, but that is no way to treat your supporters. It's absolutely disgusting. If I had my way, the whole lot of them would be sacked. Now we move on to the next one. Eddie Gaspar. Oh my God. Now he is the technical director. What is it exactly he's directing? I remember Arsene Wenger when he was here spoke about a technical director, and he said, "Well, what's he going to do? Direct the traffic?" I'm sorry, but I think he was right. There's not much I do agree with about that with that fella now that he's gone, but that definitely I agree with. The man is not experienced. The only transfer dealings are those that he can pull off with his compatriots from Brazil. Why is that? He identified an agent who he works with, Kia Barachum, or whatever his name is. And what is it this man does? Seriously, what does he do? That's another one I want replaced. And the other day he released a statement saying that Arsenal has a bright future under Arteta. He now developed the art of remote viewing or something, because it's the only one that I know of that thinks that Arsenal's got a bright future under this man. He also said he was doing a great job. Well, if that's a great job, I'd hate to see what a bad one is. So, the statement was so ridiculous. There's so many ridiculous statements that in it, it's just a joke. Like things like, "Oh, we're not going out and talking about going out and signing 20 odd players, and that's not going to work, is it? Who's asking them to sign 20 players? Because I ain't, and I don't know anyone else that is." And then also that the fans are calling for Messi. What fans are calling for Messi? The comment he made was, "Boom! Come here, Messi." I mean, childish, ridiculous behaviour. I'm sorry, it's just, again, it's another one. It's not acceptable. The man is arrogant, stupid, and inexperienced. And I'd like to know why he thinks that he's a great be all and end all. Is it just because he's got a job at Arsenal and the position he's in? He's got nothing to be arrogant about, honestly. Then we come on to this joker, Vinay Vakachetam, or whatever his name is. Again, what experience has he got of heading up a football club? He's got no experience and what does he do on a day-to-day basis? As far as I can see, nothing. He doesn't. What does he add to the football club? What does he do? Now I want to move on to the fans. Now, the fans are divided as usual. Some want Arteta to stay still. Why? I don't know. Some want them to go. I just don't get it. They'll never ever be able to mount a serious challenge to the ownership because they're completely hopelessly divided and they're not motivated enough to do it. They're not going to put on pressure on the club at any level. I mean, for example, Liverpool recently, a few years ago, their club wanted to put the price of the tickets up at the ground to £77. So when that came out, the Liverpool fans organised a mass walkout of supporters on the 77th minute in protest at this. And there was over 10,000 fans walked out. If that something like that was to happen at the Emirates, you'd be lucky if you got 200 walking out. That's the difference. They're not interested. They're not. There's this corporate. It's a different mentality and a different culture of supporters at Arsenal. And they're not from working class backgrounds anymore. Most of them are upper class, working in the city if they are working. It's just not the club supporters aren't organised, or they're not going to be organised in any way, shape, or form to be able to pressurise the ownership. So yeah, that's the supporters. So moving on. Then the fans, Arsenal fans, aren't radical or militant enough. A good example, let me explain to you as well about the problem with the supporters. They're not like any other football supporters, right? I went to an FA Cup game a good while ago now. It was when Arsenal played Gillingham at home in the FA Cup. And late on the game, they were still drawing 2-2. And I hadn't been for a while. And I managed to get hold of a ticket for this game. And I was sat in the North Bank. Right, so late in the game, we were struggling to get on top of Gillingham, who were in League One, I believe, at the time. And the crowd were dead. There was no encouragement, no vocal support. So I got up and started trying to get the fans to get behind the team. This clown tapped me on the shoulder and told me to sit down and be quiet. I'm sorry, but I just find that absolutely staggering. It shows absolutely no understanding about football or what being a football supporter is all about. An absolute joke. Now we go on to the main problem, the big one, Mikel Arteta. Okay, so as I said, Mikel Arteta. Now he's the biggest, to me, he's the most, I'm going to say he's the biggest problem, but he's the most urgent one. He's the one that is causing a big problem. They're all causing big problems, but he's the most urgent. We need to get this inexperienced manager out of the club. It might be that he goes on to have a very successful career as a club football manager, but Arsenal Football Club isn't an academy. It isn't a place for people to learn their trade. It's a multi-million pound business. And my question is, what other multi-million pound business would put someone with no experience to head up its operations? It just wouldn't happen. It's absolute insanity. So the job at Arsenal isn't for only someone who has got no experience. He should have gone off to learn his trade somewhere else. Now, people will point out that he was Pep's number 2 and so on and so forth, but I'm sorry, but that's no guarantee of success. The number 2 at Real Madrid came over to England. He was a complete and utter failure and flop. It just didn't work out for him. It doesn't mean to say he wasn't a good coach. Probably, maybe. Excuse me. Maybe he was, but it didn't work out for him. Also, I remember having this conversation when they were thinking about appointing Mikel Arteta in the first place. When I was in recovery from my stroke, and I was talking to my physio at the time, he was a big Arsenal fan. And I said to him, look, I could sit in here, watch what you do, and sit next to you for a year. But does it mean that I'm going to be any good as a physio? No, it doesn't. You need to be practicing. You need to go and do the training. You need to have the practical experience. No. I'm sorry, but this idea, this man was appointed because he was a cheap option. Absolutely, I'm absolutely certain of that. The man, I'm sorry, but he's tactically inept. And this idea that it's a he pulled off a tactical masterclass in order to beat Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City recently. It's not a tactical masterclass to throw 10, 11 players behind the ball. It isn't. Parking the bus is the easiest tactical. It's the easiest way to tactically set up a team that there is. And I remember Ruth Hullet once saying that it's far easier to destroy something in football than it is to create something, and that is so true. Recently we were playing Aston Villa at home, and we were 2-0 down. No surprise there. With about 10, 15 minutes left. What were we doing? We had 8 men behind the ball. I mean, how is that a tactical masterclass? It's ridiculous. You know, I'm sorry, but it's a joke. He's also unable to react to changing situations in games. He makes his substitutions too late. We've had, from open play, we've managed to score 2 goals from open play since the 4th of October. Does that sound like someone to you who's a tactical magician? Well, it certainly don't sound like it to me. His coaching of players is questionable. In a number of games that I've seen recently, they've been unable to string more than 2 passes together. So what are they doing in training? It's just, they look like they're a bunch of strangers. Players are regressing under him as well. For example, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Kieran Tierney, Rob Holding, all of them, in my opinion, have regressed under his management. His treatment of the young players in this team is absolutely appalling. Why aren't they getting any game time? For example, Smith Rowe. Apparently we lack creativity, yet he doesn't get a start. Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Why isn't he getting started ahead of Bellerin? Balogun, Willock, Saliba, Reece Nelson, the list goes on. Eddie Nketiah. Why isn't Eddie Nketiah for a start? Why isn't he out on loan? The man also, in my opinion, has got an arrogant attitude. I saw a press conference of his recently, and to me, this journalist was just asking him a, quite simple, non-offensive question about something he'd done in the match. He started rolling his eyes and refused to answer the question. I mean, for goodness sake, man, you need to behave with a bit more decorum and professionalism. What does he think? Who the hell does this man think he is? He's won one FA Cup and a charity match. He needs to rein himself in. And in my opinion, I think the press are giving him an easy ride. I'm telling you, I wouldn't let him off the hook so easily. If I was in a press conference, one of the things that I would ask him would be, why is it, Mikel, that you're continually playing players that are underperforming, likes of Bellerin, Xhaka, Willian? Why are these players continually getting a game at the expense of others who, whenever they come in, seem to do really well? Why do you keep benching players after they put in good performances? Yeah, so let me just get my breath back. Willian, it's another thing. His man management is a joke. Willian went off to Dubai recently, in complete contradiction to government restrictions, to have a steak in a restaurant, which it isn't allowed in the current. At the time, it wasn't allowed in the with the coronavirus restrictions that were in place. What happened? He started the next game. As far as I know, he wasn't disciplined at all. That in itself is a big problem, because you're then creating an atmosphere of players thinking there's one rule for one and one for another. And I think there is. Continually playing his favourites all the time. Then the other thing is people supporting him, saying that it's not the players, it's the manager. It's not the manager, it's the players. It's their fault that the team's not playing well. My simple answer and question to that one is, well, if it is the players' fault, why the hell is he still playing those players? Why doesn't he get them out of the team? I'm sorry, but that doesn't hold water for me. Now we move on to Mikel, and now we move on to Mesut Ozil. He's been frozen out of the club. Now, if they don't want him and they don't want him in the club, he's obviously very popular in the dressing room, and I think that there's a lot of negativity around him, and I'm not 100% convinced that he hasn't got something to do with the problems with regards to the playing staff. If I was Arsenal, I'd be looking just to pay him off and get him out, because as far as I'm concerned, I think he's a big problem. So if I was Arsenal, I'd give him a check for the remainder of his contract and just tell him to go. I don't want him back in the team because I don't think he does anything when he's come in the team. And in fact, his statistics before he got frozen out of the club were absolutely awful. I think in the last 2 years, there's probably goalkeepers who've had more assists than what he's done. And that's the main reason that he's in the team. He's supposedly the world's best number 10, my arse. Then there's this thing, like I said earlier, about there being one rule for one and one for another. Pepe got sent off for Leeds, and what he did was stupid and is unacceptable. And Mikel Arteta hang him out to dry. But then you've got Xhaka grabbing someone by the throat. He still hasn't apologised. And I bet you when his suspension comes along, he'll be back in the team again. Guendouzi, he grabbed someone by the throat and he was bounced out of the club. He's playing out on loan in Germany. So, you know, if it's all right for that to happen to Guendouzi, why not Pepe? Why not Xhaka? And then there was the incident that I talked about earlier with Willian. And then he keeps making the same mistakes again and again. Now, you know, there is a definition of madness that comes into play here, where you keep trying the same things when they don't work, and in the hope that something's going to change. Well, it ain't going to change, is it? Now, there is a theory going around that the players have damn tools, because a lot of them, let's be honest, they got form for it. They did it under Arsene Wenger. They did it under Unai Emery. In fact, they were ridiculing Unai Emery because of his accent, his poor English language skills. And now they appear to be doing it now. There appears to be dressing room division. Apparently, there's been a rumour going around this weekend as well that when Mikel Arteta announced the team for Arsenal to play against Everton, that Willian was down to be playing, which he did. And Aubameyang turned around and said, "Oh, I don't think that's a good idea." And then suddenly, Aubameyang is injured and not in the team. The theory is that he's not injured at all, and that Mikel Arteta has dropped him for disciplinary reasons. So the fact that there's not many players coming out defending him makes me think that potentially they have damn tools and there is a problem in the dressing room. The other thing is, and another reason that makes me think that there possibly is a problem in the dressing room, is that when Kieran Tierney first came down from Celtic, he got told to calm down by some of the other players at Arsenal because he was too not aggressive, but he was showing them up in training and they didn't like it. Now, Pepe, he was asked a while ago about why he doesn't play Pepe consistently, and he said it was because his performances are not consistent. Hello, if you don't play the man consistently, how the hell do you expect him to be consistent? He hasn't played more than 2 or 3 games in a row for the club. Whenever he plays and he performs well, the next game he gets benched. He's the second highest goal scorer and assist maker in the club. So he must be doing something right. So, like I say, if he's not played consistently, his performances aren't going to be consistent, is it? And he's, like I say, he's Arsenal's second most potent player behind Aubameyang with goals and assists. Now, with the situation Arsenal are in at the moment, there are not enough fighters in the squad for a relegation dogfight. In fact, I can think of only 3. One of those is currently suspended, and the other one is in a long-term injury. So the 3 I'm thinking of are Kieran Tierney, and Gabriel, who's out injured, is out suspended, and also Thomas Partey, who's is injured. And that's another example about his poor man management. In a game recently, I think it was the game, what game was it? A couple of games ago, when Thomas Partey was injured and he was trying to tell Mikel Arteta he was injured and he needed to come off. Mikel Arteta just pushed him back onto the field and told him to go and get on with it. Honestly, does he not think that this man is a professional and he would like trying to. What player does not want to play football? It's absolutely crazy. Now, what we're going to do now is look at his form and compare it with some other managers. Okay, so if we look at his stats and compare them with Unai Emery, in total, Unai Emery had a 55.42% win rate. Mikel Arteta has a 47.83% win rate. In the league, he had Unai Emery had a 47% win rate, and Mikel Arteta had a 38.24% win rate. So to me, it's clear that who the better manager was. And the reason I'm comparing him with Unai Emery was because Unai Emery has managed the club for a similar amount of time, and he ended up getting sacked for less than what this clown has achieved. So then we also, if we look at Mikel Arteta and compare it with Carlo Ancelotti. Carlo Ancelotti took the Everton job on around the same time. Well, it was like a day before Mikel Arteta. And if you look at their record, the difference is stark. Look at where Carlo Ancelotti is now. He's second in the English Premiership, and Mikel Arteta is on the brink of the relegation zone. So for me, it's clear who's the best manager and how poor actually Unai Emery is. It's now been 8 games since he's had a win. And before the Southampton game at home on the 16th of December, he'd lost 4 games in a row in a row, which is the worst record at home since 1974-75 season, when they toyed with relegation before. The way things are at the moment, I believe that Arsenal are in serious danger of being relegated. And I showed you the league table earlier, and it showed you why I believe that's the case. Now, moving swiftly on. The other thing is all the teams around Arsenal are starting to pick up points as well. Now, one of the other things I haven't actually heard anyone else mention so far is the impact of the coronavirus and the fact that we've got no team has got a home advantage because of the fact there's like no or hardly any fans in the ground. Now, in the last 3 or 4 years, Arsenal's away form was absolutely abysmal. So it's no surprise to me that we are performing so badly because just that alone would indicates why there's a problem. Because if, for example, if you look at Arsene Wenger's last season in control, they only won 1 away game all season. So there you have it. Maybe relegation though would be a good thing because it might be that the owner would sell up if we weren't in the Premier League, and then someone else who'd come in, hopefully would have some understanding of football, and they'd be able to clear out all the rubbish that's infesting our club and poisoning our club and killing our club, and replace it with people and start to move things forward again. But there's no way, obviously, that I want the club to be relegated. And the problem is, if they did go down, I'm not confident they come back up again. And in fact, I'd be concerned that they might just go into free fall like Man City and Wolves did, who both went down to tier 2 of English football. Tier 4 of English football. So that's my big fear. Now, so other people have said that he hasn't been supported, particularly with purchasing of new players. But if you look at the number of players that have been signed or had their contracts renewed under his watch, it's not a few. Okay. Now he signed or had contracts renewed for the following players: Alex Ronison, Gabriel, Cedric Suarez, Pablo Marie, David Luiz, Danny Ceballos, Thomas Partey, Willian. I mean, it's not a small number, is it? It really isn't. So there you go. That for me just about sums it up, really. So that's what I think is wrong with Arsenal and what needs to be done. I mean, the quite big question I can hear people asking is, well, if you get rid of him, who are you going to bring in? Well, let's have a look at the candidates. You've got Carlo, the guy who was at Tottenham, Mauricio Pochettino, although I don't particularly want him. I don't particularly rate him. Then there's Allegri, who's not doing anything. There's Rafa, and then any number of other candidates that you could think of that they could go for. Arsenal is a big draw, and the name is big around the world. Let me tell you that. The only issue that I could see was like Jose Mourinho, they tried to appoint Jose Mourinho. Well, they went for Jose Mourinho before he went to Spurs. But the problem, Jose Mourinho didn't want to come because he didn't like the structure that would be in place at Arsenal above him. And I could see how that would be a problem for other managers as well. But if it was my choice, I would go after Rafa. I think he would be able to turn the club round. I think he's tactically very clever, and he'd be able to sort this club out and get the club back on a even keel and get us climbing up the table again. He's done it at Newcastle, and I think he would do it with us. I've got no doubt about that. But the rest of this issues that I've identified, I believe need to get sorted out, because if they're not, then it's going to be a massive struggle for any manager, let alone a novice like Mikel Arteta, to sort out. So anyway, that's the end of my video, this special one-off one. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please feel free to put put a comment in the section if you've got any views about what I've said. I'm happy to hear any views, even ones that are contradictory to me. I'm not a dictator, so please feel free to make comments that if you disagree with what I've said. Also, please put a like on the video, pass it around for other people you know who might be interested in seeing it. And if you're new, please feel free to subscribe. It's completely free. You don't have to pay for it. Anyway, so yeah, so that's it. And I'll be back soon with another video. And I hope you all have a lovely day. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care. Bye.